For those who are going through a spiritual journey or you're awakening and you happen to enjoy languages, not because of languages per se, but because of the potential to explore, like an explore, you know that whole like, I want to just explore, I want to do things, I want to be out there. Usually that's why we're drawn to languages, I feel. At least that's what it is for me. Um, But there's truth to that after the pandemic for me, where I knew that there was something going on with um, how I wanted things to be for myself, that I wanted things to be genuine. I wanted things to be organic. So I don't, I wanted to just be organic, regardless of what other people do, what they say, what they think, what they express, the opinions they express, the opinions they give me about this and that, and this, that, depend regardless of what I see online. I want things to be organic for me. I want things to be genuine. I want to be genuinely fluent. And although this they say takes time and that we're adults and that there's also a bunch of things that, it's what general things that people say about languages and whatever the names that we call it, whatever the names, the labels that we impose on what it is and whatever it's not. For me, I can only speak on my behalf. And what's kind of been frustrating is, well, that's the truth that I'm trying to express here. That it's been frustrating to um, uh, go through some sort of that same process where I want to just be completely exposed to it, as if I'm starting over. Um, there's a part of me that wants to escape. I want to escape um, the reality in front of me. And I have so many other things like trauma, where my parents weren't really there. And I find that that's tied to how I subconsciously still perceive them, that it's the whole like, it's unpredictable where things went, they were there, but they felt like they weren't there. So they weren't emotionally available. And this is the truth. This is my personal experience. And there are people who might be like, I don't know, they have their own opinions. And so I just wanted to express my truth when it comes to specifically like this whole exploration thing that it's very, it's beautiful because it's beyond the limits of what we see things to be. I love that experience. I love going beyond the boundaries and breaking boundaries and that I don't know. It's just I called me crazy, but it's like a woo woo, whatever it is. I really don't care. Not because I don't care about people. It's more like that's what resonates with me. What makes me shine is I want to be childlike. I want to be experiencing like things are fresh all the time. And so when you deal with a lot of other people, you're going to come across different things, right? So that's one of the things that has been kind of thing. So it's been feeling like a sort of a very solitary journey to get used to things. Sometimes I even wonder if perhaps I should just quit this whole language thing. But there's a side of me that goes, um, I should still somehow pursue it, not so much language itself, but like find ways to travel so that way I actually get exposed to it. My One of my dreams before was to not necessarily travel per se, like when you go to a country, uh, like you go there as a tourist kind of thing. I don't want that. I've done that. It doesn't resonate with me. I want to be completely exposed, surrounded by the locals and just really be exposed to that thing. Um, then of course the pandemic came and people got to experience a huge traumatic shock, collectively speaking. And so I feel like even when it comes to the online stuff, for me, there's an intrinsic feeling of like, it's just not enough. But at the same time, there's a paradox there where I want things to be organic and all that stuff. But when it comes to things like online, I know that it's still possible, but I feel like, and this isn't me trying to project onto others, but I feel like it's almost like there's an apprehension, an apprehensiveness, about all this whole thing. We're just like, well, online stuff is not enough, got to meet in kind of person. But what happens is that when you're doing things in person, you have less access anyways. So that's the gift of having things online. So you can make it as real as possible. You just gotta be more imaginative, use your imagination. And for myself, when I do it, when I show people, when I do things like I've done this before, I help people with their English, mainly it's English. I do it with the hand movements, facial expressions, drawing pictures, and all that stuff. Very organic as much as I can, and then have a story. It is not enough per se, but it's still better than what for me feels like going backwards in terms of like the inefficiency of language learning itself. Grammar, translation, correction, the three main typical stuff that you go through in studying. Oh, sorry, just four things. But right, so it's almost like it's overusing the short-term memory, the conscious part of the brain. We need to go into the subconscious where the emotions are, because emotions is memory and it's retention. So anyways, but every time I kind of bring it up, it feels kind of like I get this look or this non-reaction. Either it's a non-reaction or this look of like deer in headlights, or like I'm crazy, or it just doesn't make sense, or complete opposite. It's just they just completely disagree with it because I don't know, maybe they're in resistance. They're not, they just like they don't want to do that. They want to do it the hard way. And it's not even I mean, maybe they don't see it that they probably see this is the hard way because it takes longer. But taking something that takes long doesn't necessarily mean it's harder. It's just more organic. So I feel like a lot of people, I don't know, maybe I'm just making an assumption, maybe I'm projecting onto the world. I'm sure there are people out there who do, um, as you could say, believe what I do. Um, and everybody, I've heard this before too. It's like, oh, everybody has their own kind of thing. Yes, but everybody has the ability to breathe, right? So we all have the ability to what's called acquire languages naturally. It just has to be brought back down to like a very observant state, very present state. People might say it's very tied to spiritual. It's like, oh, that sounds woo-woo, or that's not scientific enough. Yeah, yada, 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 yada. I've heard it. I've heard it. And if I'm going to hear something else, it's not going to surprise me. It really isn't. And take it or leave it. That's what it is. But that's the thing about this whole thing. And it's at the moment, I'm just stating my kind of my personal frustrations with the limitations I come across. I've been in language exchange websites too, and they mostly it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Um, so I think it's more than I believe, and I feel strongly about this, that it's more than language. It's more than communication. Yeah, I don't know. People don't go deeper into how language plays a huge role in relationships, not only how we word things, why we word things, but like I've seen this many times. There's a lot of miscommunication happening between people, not only so much because it's about the language per se, like, oh, we say it this way in this dialect, we say it this way in this region, we say it this way, yada, 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 yada. But it's more about the intention behind it. So goes much deeper than that, right? But at the same time, it's also much simpler than anything. It's how, like, when children say things, especially when it's like 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, they don't hold grudges, right? Until the conditioning happens and we tell them, oh, you must do it this way, or you must do it this way, you must do it this way, yada, yada, all that stuff. But I don't know. Um, Having open-mindedness and open ears and an open heart takes courage. Um, I can't change that. What I can do is grow from this moment, grow from this experience, and see things just as they are. That there are people out there who just um, they're not into it, or they won't listen, or me for me, I feel like I won't be heard, so I can't control all those things. So that's I'll see what happens after this one. Um, I know that it helps. The videos that I've been posting, I feel like it is helping. And even if it doesn't, at least I'm contributing to something, and it feels good to contribute to something like that. But in all honesty, too, I also want to myself. I want things to be for myself, right? So I want things to be. I want to have sources. I want to have resources that allow me to proceed the way I want to. Yeah. But whatever is I'm being called to at the given time, like for example, I wanted to get into Romansh, and there's very little stuff there that it's actually efficient. There's not a lot of like visual aids. It's a little too hard to grasp. It's a little too, especially when you're starting out, it's really hard. Um, then you basically you resort to going back to traditional methods, which just makes it less satisfying, and it's very dissatisfying actually, and it's not there. It just doesn't do for me. It's not cathartic. It's not it doesn't resonate with me. There are good stuff out there, like this one lady, she does Slovak stuff. I recommend her. She said Slovaks with stories or something like that. There's another one, the Russian one. She's okay. But it's still better than what else I see there. She's comprehensible Russian or something like that. Alice Ayel for French, that's a good one. The Cantonese one, that's good. The Japanese was decent. Um, it's one thing to say, which I would recommend people doing. Um, Trusting your intuition and your instincts and see what that gets you, right? And really trust it and just be observant, just be present, just be there. But at the same time, it depends on who's giving out the story. If it's not necessarily cathartic or exciting, it depends on you as a person too, right? That's where you're conditioned. I call this a conditioned thing. Learning styles, tying it to Howard Gardner's multiple intelligences, but I also tie it to astrology, to be honest with you. I go into more detail with that stuff, but we're not here for that. Um, yeah, so it really depends on you as an individual. You know exactly what it is. You know instinctively, intrinsically, what resonates with you in terms of like how you pick things up. We're not just talking about studying, we're talking about how you pick things up. Um, so yeah, that's just one of the things. That's the other thing. That's the other part of my journey. Um, we'll see how it goes. I know that I'm still very hopeful. I'm always very hopeful. Um, but there are things that I give up on too, eventually as well. Um, like every time people get back into things like one of the other things too, though, for me is what I'm drawn to often is like underdog languages. So languages that are like, the not popular ones. I'm very drawn to those because there's that rebellious side of me. I mean, I like it. It resonates with me. It makes me feel good. It's just like, ooh, it's rare. It's cool. It's like a rare gem. It's just like, ooh, it feels special. And I've asked myself, why am I drawn to that? Because when I was growing up, I was I was the black sheep of 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 the black sheep. So that's how at least I feel. Like I'm exaggerating a little bit. Well, maybe a lot. Um, and so it feels like that. So I've always been kind of like the progenitor. I'm getting the word of like that's that word, you know? So I don't know what it is. Languages can be exciting when I myself don't make it about language. I make it about direct experience as much as I can. I bring the culture to me. But again, it's more than that. So anyways, there's a bunch of other things too that have been part of my journey. Um, I don't know how to put this anymore. Like clearly right now we're experiencing a lot of people with very short attention span. And boredom is sort of on the high and people can't be present and all that stuff. So it's a call it like a collective energetic influence. Um, and so I'm feeling it myself. So there's a spiritual side to this, I know, but people call it spiritual. I don't call it spiritual anything. I just call it like it's the whole experience. This is life. Doesn't matter what we call it. It's part of the whole process. So, so in that regard, I experience this as an actual process itself. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, if this resonates with you, you know what to do. See you guys later. Bye.